Hi. So, I want to share with you what is on my heart, as I do always, and that is that I am seeing now. That was my keys. I'm seeing. No, they're okay. I might not, yeah. But anyways, I'm seeing all over YouTube. This has actually been going on for a while, but I've just kind of really been stirred inside now, even more so about it. But all over YouTube, there is videos after videos of the arguments between people who believe in the theory of evolution and creationists, people who study through creationism. And there is, of course, all over the world now, this culture now that says the theory of evolution is no longer a theory, it is fact. Well, ladies and gentlemen, science has never been something we study as fact. Science is a study. That's what it is. It is simply a study. A study of what is around us, nature. Of course, that's not the exact dictionary definition, but you know what I'm saying. It is a study. It's not fact. So here's the thing. Of course, we find things out that are true. We find evidence. We find collection of information. So when I was going to school, we had the study of the theory of evolution and also creationism. I was really blessed for that, to have that, because now children in schools, not just in America, around the world, are taught, here's the theory of evolution, this is science, this is facts. And so it boggles my mind, because, for me, the way I see it is, if you want to study science through the perspective of the theory of evolution, okay, that's fine. You want to study science through the perspective of creationism, that's fine. But don't tell me or anybody that they cannot study science through creationism, they cannot study creationism. Don't tell them they can't study it, because there's only one way to study science, and that's through the theory of evolution. It never used to be that way, and it boggles my mind that it's become that way now. It's become that way now that it's mandatory to study science through the theory of evolution, and not only that, but it is seen as fact. It is nothing but fact, is how it's presented. And that's not what science is all about. That is not what science is all about at all. And I also notice this pattern of Richard Dawkins, because he's become well known now. Anytime he faces a discussion with a creationist, it's not simply for the discussion of the two different perspectives of how you study science. Rather, he consistently puts down the other person as their way of study being nothing about it being even remotely correct. He just continues to put them down and does not truly open up for a true discussion. That was what I noticed. And all over YouTube, he's being praised as someone who is speaking truth, who's being the smart one. That's something that in debate you find is really, it's a subtle way of bullying. You don't even give the other person an opportunity to truly express their perspectives and what they have to share, to bring it to the table. So I'm not here to say you got to study creationism. You gotta leave out the theory of evolution. Obviously, I'm sure you all know that I am. Yes, indeed, I study science through creationism, and that was my choice when I was in school. We weren't told you had to believe, or to study, I should say. We weren't told you had to study one way or the other. You had to study the theory of evolution. You had to study creationism. We were presented two forms of ways to study science, and I found that the creationism made more sense to me than the theory of evolution. Were there interesting things in the theory of evolution? Of course there was. Do we have all the answers? No matter what, no matter how you study science, no one has all the answers. That's the whole point of studying. So even as a creationist, do I have all the answers? Absolutely not. I'm not a scientist by any means. But for me, as a form to study science, definitely through creationism. And I am not going to put down anyone who decides to study science through the theory of evolution. I'm not going to put down anyone for that, which is what that's what's unfair. What's unfair is that I'm seeing this uprise of people who study the theory of evolution putting creationists down for simply our choice of how we want to study science. And that's just not right at all. That is not right at all. So, I'm going to get off my soapbox now. Thank you for listening. Be blessed. Shalom, shalom. This is Princess Yehudia signing off. Be blessed. Amen.